Good morning, Michael and Nancy. Thanks for joining us today. We'll obviously give it a couple of minutes since we're just getting started, let people in, and then we'll get rolling on this. Hopefully, you guys are all having a great day so far. If you don't mind, drop in the chat where you're reaching in from. I try to do that, just kind of get understanding where people are. I'm North Dallas. So if you're in the Dallas area, I'm off of like the 635 Midway area. Just kind of curious where you guys are at. If you're in Plano, Frisco area, Dallas, West DFW, East DFW, Garland. Okay, not too far from me then. Far North Dallas. Okay, Fort Worth, Vancouver. Oh, okay, nice, awesome. All right, guys, we'll give it a couple more minutes. Probably like 2 more minutes, and then we'll get into it. This is all being recorded, so whoever joins late can watch the recording. I'm curious, have any of you heard of the prospecting agent? I know HubSpot's been talking a little bit about it, but have you heard of the prospecting agent before? Or is this something that's going to be fairly new to you? Okay, haven't used it. Okay. So today is going to be a little different than usually. I just kind of like show HubSpot and show features. My goal today is actually to walk through setting up the basics so you know what it is, how it works, and just a little understanding of who would want to use this. We've been testing it out internally, and I'll give you kind of our thoughts on it. Try to semi-autonomous. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pretty nice feature for sure, especially if you're a small team. So definitely a great tool. So I think it also just shows an exciting future and a scary one at the same time, right? Because if everybody's using AI prospecting, then how that may become a little diluted. So we'll see how that works out. I think amazing thing about this particular agent, which you'll see when we go through it, is that you do have a level of control to kind of try to personalize it to your brand to some extent. So that'll be exciting to see. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So for you guys that may be your first time joining this event, I'm Michael Wilson. I'm the founder and CEO of Processology. We are the HubSpot, the admins for the HubSpot user group here in DFW. And so, we've been doing these events, just kind of testing the waters and seeing what people like, what they want to hear. So definitely when we share the recording, you have an opportunity to join our community for free to actually comment and engage with us in order to just kind of see, are you liking these events? It's exclusive to the admin side of things. So just kind of curious on you guys' thoughts. Having those votes really help us figure out if we're putting the right kind of content out for you or not. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, got it. So awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and share 1 second. All right. All right, and you should see my screen, prospecting agent here. And if you're dropping chat or DMs, I will check those a little towards the end and try to get back to everybody before we sign off today. We have about an hour with us, so usually we get done a little early to have some time for FAQs. So we'll go ahead and run through it. All right, so what you see on the screen here is going to be the prospecting agent. If you do not see this, you may have to opt into the beta. It is, I believe it's still in public beta at the moment, but over it in the left side, if you expand this little sidebar here, you might be looking at this. You'll see this icon, or you can expand it to see this. Click on Breeze. This will show you the different HubSpot agents. We will do some videos on some of these other agents as well. Break those down in the future, especially if you're interested. I'd love to know. Drop that in the chat, and we'll definitely prioritize that. But today we're going to be specifically focusing on the prospecting agent. So the prospecting agent is what it sounds like, right? It's prospecting for potential opportunities. There are some unique ways that you can also use this. It doesn't necessarily have to be just for sales. It can be if you're a nonprofit looking for corporate donors, things like that, and corporate partners, you can also use it for that. What it is a tool that will go and research individuals and companies that are inside of your CRM system. It'll do all the research and it will draft the emails that go out. As of right now, it's limited to 3 outreaches, so 3 emails that it will draft and auto send those emails as well. What's pretty amazing about this is that you can utilize your segmentation that's built in the system, like your list and things like that, to actually target certain audiences within your system to reach out to. You also have an ability to build what they call selling profiles. So the selling profiles, what that's going to do is that's going to allow you to have the agent be able to reach out to different personas, audiences, specific types of products and things like that within the system. So it's not always trying to find someone with the same exact thing. You can actually get very specific in a target audience or persona, or like I said, a product line that may fit someone, and enroll them based on that item so that it has a little bit of context. We'll walk through all of this when we go through the walkthrough of setting it up. The thing that I found using this that's been pretty cool is that it's doing all this in a matter of seconds, which is what's really cool. We've been prospecting for a long time, so when we go out, we have to do a lot of research, figure out if we're talking to the right person. Then we have to figure out how to formulate our message and then send that message. So all that takes a lot of time for us to go do. So now that we've been able to set up segmentations, set up our selling profiles, and then set up the context that we want on those selling profiles, it really allows us to just let it work. So there's 2 modes, and we'll talk through that a little deeper through the walkthrough process. The 2 modes are going to be semi-autonomous and fully autonomous. So semi-autonomous basically means the agent is going to research the list that you give it, the individuals on it. Then it is going to draft the emails, and then you have to actually review those emails in order to send them out. The the fully autonomous version basically does all that. The only difference is that you don't have to review the emails. It's just going to send. For some people that might be a little scary, my recommendation is try out the semi-autonomous, see if it's doing what you want, see what the emails are. Is it right? If not, you may have to tweak some things. Once you feel like you're comfortable with that, then you can go fully autonomous. The things that I will mention for us that was kind of like, that we didn't love about it, is that it does add a message saying that this was, I think it says something like this was improved with AI, which prospecting is hard enough if you've ever done it. So adding that just doesn't necessarily help, I think, in that sense. I get why it's there, but what we have found and what you can do is actually play on that. So you can actually, in your messaging, play on, by the way, this is written with AI, just to kind of show people like, hey, what this is useful for, kind of a thing. Especially if you're someone that's selling content services or something like that, it could be helpful. But I would definitely say if you've never done it before, this is your first time seeing it and walking through this, to start with the semi-autonomous. What I'm going to do right now is go ahead and click on this setup agent. That is going to take us to the agent to set up. And I'm actually going to, just to kind of demonstrate, use our website here. I'm going to bring that up. And I'm going to drop that into my URL here. And I'm going to have it analyze the site. And what it's basically going to do is crawl, and it's going to try to help me set up selling information. You could do all this manually if you want, but since we're talking AI, why not enjoy it a little bit? We have an opportunity to give it a name, so I'm just going to call this the Processology Selling Profile. I'm not going to worry about description right now, but I highly recommend you do when you set up yours. And then what it did is it scanned the website, and then it's grabbing information from our site of like, what do we sell? What is our value proposition? What are the pain points that we typically solve for customers? What products? So you can set up products in the system so that you can do certain products. So if you haven't gone through HubSpot and been very familiar with it, HubSpot has been releasing a lot of AI-specific features and things that you can pull into this. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this for a second. So inside of your settings and data management, so if you come down to AI here, what you're going to land on is this page here, which is going to look like access. So this is how you're going to turn on the different AI features inside of HubSpot. But under your data sources, you'll be able to set up your brand kit, your company profile, your ideal customer profiles, your marketing strategy, your products. And so you can come in here and set up some products on here. This works a little bit different than your actual product side. So if you already use sales and use the products over there, these two databases are not joined at the moment. I would imagine that at some point that will change. But as of today, you would have to come in and set up a product by just giving it a name and a description inside of the system. That's going to put your product in here. Let's jump back over. So in this case, I'm not going to select the product at the moment. It allows me to select some industries that I want to sell to, as well as what are some of the personas or job titles I want to target. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and click next. So I real quick, I just glanced over and saw the enhanced by AI. It is not possible to get rid of that if you're doing fully autonomous. Semi-autonomous does not add it, but fully will add that message. We don't love it either, but I would imagine at some point it will probably be optional. I think it's just part of trying to keep up with like HubSpot's, I forget exactly what they call it, but it's kind of like their AI integrity thing of trying to make sure that they're not tricking people into thinking it's a real person or whatnot. But I would assume that that's going to change at some point, but we'll see how it goes. So we have to do an identity of like how do we want to actually send these out? And so, for example, like we have to have like an inbox or something connected. I'm going to go ahead and select myself right now. And then it gives me an opportunity to like connect an inbox, for example. And I'm just going to set up mine here. You guys feel free to email me. I would love to have a conversation if you want to. I'm just going to move this over here so I can get signed in. All right. So once you get your inbox signed in, because you are going to have to send this, it's going to go from an actual person. So keep that in mind. It's not something that is going to go from like a company inbox, right? Because it's just like a regular prospecting email that you would send out. It would typically come from an individual. So on here, you have a couple options. You can send all from a single user, or we can select to do it from the contact owner. And then you will have like a kind of almost like a fallback for that single user in there. So a lot of times you have a decent sized team or you have a few people that's going to be doing it. You may want to do it from contact owner versus single user. So on the right side here, you would just pick whichever option you wanted to pick and have that send from that option. All right, once you get here, this is what I think was actually really cool. So when I originally went through this process with my team when we were looking through this, I like that it allows us to give a little direction, right? So we've already given some context by putting our URL in the website inside of the agent so it can scan. One thing I will point out there before we go too deep in this is that you can put URLs to very specific product pages and build selling profiles on that particular product page. So that's also something good to note as well. I just did our homepage, which you might want to do a product specific or something like that. Here is going to allow us to create some call to actions. The thing to note as of right now, like what would be really cool is that if it picked one of these or you told it to just only pick one or pick all. Right now, if you put all three of these, it is going to put all three inside of the email. So keep that in mind. But you can go ahead and pick a booking link, right? So if you were to select this, we can select our booking link on here. So let's just pick this one. And then we can come down here and we can select a document. So if we are storing documents in our HubSpot system, then we can select one of those sales asset documents and link here as well. So that might be a one page or a brochure or something like that. You can also include URLs. So maybe this is a URL to a product page or a case study or something of that sort that you think will be valuable to the audience that's going to receive this prospecting email. For now, what I'll do is I will jump over and just grab, I'll just grab a case study one for really quick. And then I'm going to hop over here and turn that on. I'm going to add a URL here. And then I'm going to go ahead and have it generate for me. I love using the AI where I can. It just allows me to just click through and move, So it's great that we have all these features. So I usually start with that. And if I don't love it, then I'll just tweak it from there. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and click next. So this is what we were talking about a little bit ago of semi-autonomous and fully autonomous. So you will see at this bottom, if you use this option, it is going to add this message here that this email was written with the help of AI. You know, like it, love it, don't. It kind of is what it is at this point. We have to go with it if we want it. It's a pretty amazing feature, I think, in itself still. But it is going to add that message, kind of similar to like in a sales email or a service email. You can add the little text at the bottom that says like the opt out of like one-to-one emails. If you've seen that before with the HubSpot emails that would go out, that is, I believe, something you can turn off in HubSpot. This is not, so keep that in mind. So right now, for the sake of this demo today, we're going to go ahead and use the semi, and then we're going to create the selling profile. So while that's doing its thing, I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. All right, so now we're on this page, and what we're looking at here is this is the home screen of the prospecting agent. Once you go through the initial setup and you come, this is what you're going to land on. And you'll see a few things I'll point out in here as well. We have a couple of tabs on the top. One is overview, one is enrollment, one is for us to analyze. So our overview is going to be this page. We can see our agent. We can see how many enrollments that are waiting for review today. We can edit our selling profiles, and we can view the automations that are here. So the automations really are just like how people get enrolled into the agent. So we'll walk through that a little bit as well. This will do daily outreaches. So it's showing us that it'll research up to 200 contacts a day. So that's how many we can enroll in this per day to send out. I would imagine that will probably change, or they'll probably have something in place for you to get more if you want more. We'll be able to see contacts that are currently enrolled, as well as contacts who have finished going through the process, and we'll see a list of those down here as well. At the top, what you will see here is that says the prospecting agent is now in the target accounts and in the sales workspace. So what they're doing is actually making it easier for you to actually manually enroll contacts into the agent. So if you're in your target audience and you have contacts, you can say, okay, I'm going to work this target. Let me go ahead and select the contacts I want to reach out to, and let me go ahead and have my agent start prospecting. So it's a pretty cool feature to be able to do that in both of those places. If we click on selling profiles, you'll see that we have the one that we created in our walkthrough. And what we can do is actually create more. So if I wanted to create another one, I can create another one for a different product line or a different target audience or any of that type of stuff. So I don't believe right now there's a limit. I'm not 100% sure on that. At least I have not seen anything that states there's a limit on how many of these selling profiles you can have. But they're pretty cool. You can go in here at any time. You can clone this. You can delete it. You can make a default. You have to have at least one. So that's why it's not letting me do any of these things. Here, I can put an exclusion list. So if I don't want certain people actually enrolling into this agent, this is where it's going to allow me to exclude some of those individuals just in case they accidentally didn't get enrolled. It will take them right out before sending them out or anything like that. So we have an opportunity to do that as well. Let's jump over to our automations. And then we'll actually go through some more of the steps so you guys can see a little bit more of it. So all right, so here what we have is we have our triggers. So when is a contact actually going to be in this? So we can do this based on a form being submitted. So if we turn this on, what it's going to allow us to do is edit, and we can pick a form. And then whenever anybody, let's say, fills out, in this case, I'm just going to pick this renter assistant demo. And anytime anybody fills out this form, if I save that, anytime that happens, they're now going to automatically get enrolled into this agent. The agent is going to do the research, and it is going to create 3 emails to send out. When it creates those 3 emails, all I literally do is tell it to send, and that's it. I review, send. A cool thing that is in there that when we get to the email part, but I'll mention lightly here, is that you do have an opportunity to edit those emails. If you don't love them, they're not perfect, you want to change a little something, you do have an opportunity to do that on the fly. So that's great. That is only possible, though, with the semi-autonomous. If you go fully, it's just going to send. So keep that in mind. So when somebody views a page, so if they view, let's say, a product page or a get started page, maybe we want to enroll them in an agent and start to research and prospect the individuals. And then we have our criteria-based. This is great. So this is actually the one that we use down here is the list one. But you can do, like, if it's been a certain amount of days since the last engagement or something like that, you can enroll them, and it's here. So another thing I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe I saw something about being able to enroll somebody into the prospect agent using workflow actions as well. I believe I saw that sometime last week. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like there was something that came out about that. So that would be pretty cool because then you can customize that through your flow. The thing that I love about this is that it gives you a lot of options. The thing that I don't love about this is that it doesn't give you all the options you could possibly want in here in terms of, like I said, if you can do the workflow, that solves for that. But I can definitely see someone not wanting to enroll someone in if they don't meet, let's say, their lead scoring model or something like that. Then you will want some kind of way to say, hey, even if this person qualifies on every other level, if they don't meet this, then don't do it. But I would imagine that you can get to that same conclusion by using the exclusion list and adding somebody to unqualified and not enrolling those individuals. So we did end up using this one when we enrolled via a list. So if we were to, I believe, let me see, why is not, let me turn this on. Let's see, all fields must be, oh, there you go. So we can pick a list and then we can enroll someone into the list. So what I'm going to do real quick is I actually want to show you guys this in real life, and I'm going to kind of spam one of my employees here for you guys so that you can see this. Is that we're going to go over to CRM, we're going to pop over the list real quick, and we're going to build a list really fast. And all I'm going to do is in here that the contact properties email, I'm going to say is equal to unfortunately demoing this. I was trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to demo this in a demo space? It is not the easiest to figure out just because so much has to be active and up to date, but you know, we're figuring it out, we're working through it. So all right, so I'm going to go ahead and create that list. It should only give me one person, I believe. So let's make sure that happens. There we go. Then I'm going to say here, prospecting demo list. All right, then we're going to come back over here and we're going to find our list here and find our prospecting demo list, and we're going to save that. So by saving that and turning that on, it's going to go and calculate, just like if you're similar, if you're used to workflows, it's going to be very similar to that. Oh, looks like somebody confirmed. Yep, it is possible workflows for that action and enroll people. So great, thank you for confirming that. So we can, say if we want to apply anything or anything like that. It's saying 0 right now, but it's probably just because I didn't update it on my list. So I'll come back to that. All right, so now we're here. Let's jump over to some of these other tabs. So this is where I will be able to see anybody that gets enrolled into the prospecting agent. So it'll show you as it's researching individuals. It will also show you when it is ready, ready for review. And anything is in progress, anything that's finished. And you'll be able to see what's happened, like why did it finish, no response, meetings, replies, manual enrollment. And then also to show you all the different errors. So you get a lot of details and understanding like what actually happened with the individual that went through here. And then you'll see like what's queued as well. So that's pretty cool. And then once all that's done, you're going to get this cool little journey map that shows you total enrolled, total emails delivered. So what's interesting here is that it kind of threw me off at first. This is going to show you contacts that go through. And so a contact will get 3 emails at some point. But it's going to show you total contacts enrolled, total contacts that got an email delivered, total contacts that opened, total contacts that clicked. And then over here, it's going to show you if they reply or book a meeting. And then we have our automation for our inbound leads here. We can set up for setting up the auto enrollment, which is similar to what we just looked at, or is what we just looked at. And then manual enrollment is in manually enrolling the contacts. So I did build my list, but I'm going to go ahead just to be on the safe side here. And I'm going to find Elijah and enroll him into this. Let's use another to send emails in inbox. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Let me fix that problem. I believe it is going to be, might be a permissions thing that I did not work out in our demo portal, but let me just check really quick. imagine it will let me do it just because I am a super admin, but wait 1 second. What is this saying again? We just pull this up on my other screen real quick and we'll work through this. I just want to make sure I'm in to update a permission. If you're super admin, let's see how you opt in. Account is how. Okay, there it is. So let's see. Yeah, it says so. I'm not sure why it's doing that. It's interesting. That should work. Let's see this usually. And that should be working. Give me a second. Let me refresh and see. There we go. All right, now it's working. Okay, perfect. So now we have this. We're set up semi right now. I'm going to go ahead and click on start. And so what it's going to do is enroll that one contact. So we should see that happen here in just a second. As you see here, one contact. And let's go into enrollment and we can see one here. We can see the status is currently being researched. So we'll give it a second and let it do its thing. While it's doing that, I'll kind of talk just a little bit about some of the other things that, I love and don't love about it. So like I said, so far what I love is once this is set up, it saves a lot of time. So if you have someone, even if you have someone that's on your team that's not used to prospecting, this allows them to become somebody that's prospecting, right? Because it's literally doing all the work for them. The thing I will say is that what we have found is that sometimes somebody can get enrolled that it doesn't make sense to have them enroll. So whoever's monitoring this needs to know, unenroll this person or make this change because it's not perfect, but it does a pretty good job in my opinion. All right, so right now we can see that the 3 emails are ready. So we can go ahead and click on this. And what we will see on this side, I'm going to close this, is that now we have 3 emails that are going out to Elijah. It's going to go from me to him. And then it wrote out the emails for me. It added my call to actions that I had into the system there. And then it does give me an opportunity to edit this. I can just click on it and I can edit anything I want to edit within this email. Then I can save that edit email if I want. Scroll down, you'll see it's going to wait 2 days. So you don't have, at least today, the ability to control this. Similar, so if you're familiar with sequences, you can kind of set how much time is between each email. This is not allowing us to change that here. So it's going to do 2 days between each email. And you'll see it is changing our headers in some cases. In some cases, it might not. But it's kind of deciding on what it's going to do for us. But we can change them ourselves if we want and do something a little different. I believe all these are going to go into a thread in the way that it's going to send them out, being that they're the same. In this case, they're the same headlines. But as you'll see, each email is a little bit different. And each one is going to have our call to action. So as I mentioned before, if you do all 3 call to action options, it will have all 3 call to actions inside of your emails. So the next thing that I will do here is I can review the record is one thing and see what's on the record. The other thing that I can do, though, which I think is pretty cool, is I can actually see what it actually researched. So I can click in here and see exactly what it found on the employee and what type of engagement it's been there. I can see what it's finding about the company. And I can see all this information to kind of see what context is it using to create this email. So that's pretty cool that you're not blind to the research that it's doing. So I found that very interesting. Even like when I wanted to make edits and things like that, I would just pop in here and see like, hey, is this the right kind of contact I want to reach out to based on their job title and what their responsibilities are? It'll usually, Elijah's not very active on social things like that, so it's not giving a lot of information here. But it's usually somebody that has more information, articles, or more active or things like that. It's going to give you richer content and richer research, which is really cool. And then we can also unenroll the person. So I may say, you know what, I don't want these emails to go out to this person, and I can unenroll them. In this case, right. So right now, changing the time between the emails is currently, we cannot change that at the time. at this moment. I don't believe that there's a place in the settings to do that. We can go check, but in terms of in the selling profile, but I'm pretty confident the email time frame is today is 2 days between each one. Again, I anticipate that will change over time. I actually think what you're going to see happen with this agent is that it's going to inherit a lot of your sequence features in terms of being able to do a lot of the sequence-based type of features of being able to change the times, having different types of actions and things like that. I would imagine at some point. Right now it's just email, but there may be where the agent's able to pass off a task for somebody to do, or for somebody to make a call, or somebody to do those things in the future. I would highly imagine that that's the direction that this is going to go in the long term. But don't quote me on any of that, because that is just me assuming what's going to happen here. But so we're going to go ahead and click on start. So once I click start, it's going to start that outreach. So what I can see is that now it's moved into the in progress stage. Person's been enrolled. The research was done. Now we have our first email, and we can actually see when that is going to be planning to go out. So right now it's 11:31 Central for me. So this is actually going to go out at 12:59. So it's also picking that send time that it's going out as well. So you can see here it says sending soon. So at this point, I don't need to do anything else. I can go on about my way. That email is going to get sent just like you would send any other one-to-one email. And if you were doing this live, what you're going to be doing is you may have 10, 15 people that need to get enrolled and into that sequence. And then you're just going to go review and start outreach. And it's just going to send the emails, and you don't have to think about it from here. So once you come back, you would just analyze. So if we go back here, we can see that we have one person that's currently enrolled. And then once that email gets sent, we'll see that we have an email that was delivered. So pretty cool, I think, across the board. Let's see, that would be awesome. yeah, definitely, for sure. It would be pretty great to be able to do that. I think eventually we will get some of those like internal handoff things come through. I see a lot of possibilities with this prospecting agents that I think we're going to see some really cool things that will happen inside of HubSpot as we get through the rest of, I think, 2025. So let's see, every 2 days often for email to go outside. Yeah. I mean, it just depends. I think the goal is that it's kind of one of those things with the 2 days is that it is like, hey, we're gonna send these 2 emails, and then we're gonna leave it alone. I do think that what you can do is obviously you have somebody monitor this; they can pick it up after that. I do, like I said, believe that in the future you will be able to actually edit timeframes. But let's jump in here and see. I'm pretty sure you can't, but let's see. We got to go through some more features in here as well, but this is what we set up earlier. So you can come back in here and change this. If it's not giving you the output you want to see in your emails, remember all the emails that are being drafted is using this information, the selling information, as well as the research that is finding to draft those emails. So like what we started doing is really fine tuning this piece and make sure that we are enrolling the right type of contacts to really make sure we're dialing in how the prospecting agent does its outreach. So that was pretty important. So as you'll see here, you can't really change much. It's going to do its research. It's going to send 3 emails out. It'll ask before you send. This one's just going to send it. But as you see, there's not really a way for us to control when that goes out, at least as of today. What I can tell you is that some of the things are still, again, HubSpot has things in the system. Like one of the things we'll talk about here is identity. So this is obviously what we talked about earlier of like a control that you can change that at some point as well. But the main part I want to talk about is this tone. So you can pick a tone of like professional, helpful, witty, formal, optimistic, those types of things. The thing that HubSpot has though with AI on the marketing side of things is very like the tone, and managing the tone is pretty advanced in terms of what you can set up, right? So you can set up, I want them to feel happy, and I want them to feel this, or I want them to be more problem solvers, or whatever that is. I would imagine that a very similar tone setup will come here. So to that point, I do think you're going to see expansion of these tabs across the top, giving you more control over your agent as time goes on. I think a big part of this is, hey, get something to the market that can be valuable today, and then continue to iterate and improve it, which is what I believe that they will do. So remember, this is part of where you come to train. This is going to be where you switch modes, which you can do inside of the selling profile. And this is per selling profile. So keep all that in mind. So you could have one selling profile that's very professional, one selling profile that's more witty. It just depends on what you want and how you want that to work within your system. I can also review the conversation again by clicking here. I can view the research here. What I also thought was pretty cool is you can add the research as a note to the contact. So if I want to be able to come back and use this context later, maybe I'm going to continue to follow up after the prospect agent's done its thing, and I want to still have that research that the agent found for me, then I can also save that as a note by clicking here and just clicking into it. In this case, what I am going to do is unenroll this so it doesn't send those emails. Easy as that. Click unenroll, and now it's done. And what you'll see over in your sidebar is you should see under finished, and you'll see a manual unenrollment that's here. So again, you'll be able to see everything that's happening within that process. So pretty cool. I'm curious, drop in the chat. Could you see yourself using this? Could you see this been valuable to your team? You saw that it researched in, I think, 5 to 10 seconds max and drew up 3 emails pretty quick. Could you see that for yourself? I do a lot of prospecting still within our organization as well. And so for me, when I started playing with the agent, I was like, whoa, it usually takes me, 20 to 30 minutes to do the research I need to do. And then, it takes a little time to really draft an email that seems a little bit more personal. So the fact that every one of these emails is unique to the person that it's going to, I found that pretty amazing to do all that in under, I would say full process, less than 30 minutes. So I'd be curious to know in the chat if you guys can see yourself using this. And if you have any other questions for me, please drop them in the chat as well, as I do want to make sure I get your questions answered. I'm going to pop through really quick on the chat, see if there's any questions I missed, as well as I'm going to pop over to the DMs, and then we're going to jump back in and we'll go try to find that workflow action in there as well. Since we're in here, we got a little time. So let's see. I think I can definitely replace a shotgun spam approach email, but custom to the cadence. They'll see more strong through. Yeah. I definitely understand the cadence thing is definitely hard. I would say it depends on your industry as well, right? So. And I'll tell you guys a couple of scenarios that I think that this could be industries I think this could be very useful for. So we'll talk about that as well. Can we manage that from a workflow sequence? So you cannot necessarily manage it from a sequence at this time, but workflows, yes. I think we had someone answer the question a little earlier when I mentioned that I think it's possible. They did confirm it. So let's jump over to workflows real quick. And we'll just create a new workflow from scratch. So in your actions, let's do a contact-based workflow. So obviously you set your enrollment trigger, keep it manual, click on your actions. And then I believe it's going to be somewhere in here. Let's look through. I'm not sure exactly where. It's probably going to be in our, there it goes. Enroll inside of your prospecting agent, pick your selling profile, and save. So there you go. So you could qualify the person, through whatever qualifying tool you have. And then if they qualify, have it automatically enroll them into this workflow that starts the prospecting agent, enrolls them, drafts the emails. And depending on if you have a semi-autonomous or fully autonomous, then it's just going to start prospecting. If it's semi, it's going to wait to whoever you have reviewing it to review it. So they're just going to be in the queue to receive that. But they will be researched automatically, and they'll have the 3 drafted emails just waiting for review before it goes out. Let's see here. For sure, going to use this. I have 2 sellers on my team. No BDR. Yeah, so I think, if you don't have any SDRs or BDRs, I think this is great for that initial outreach, especially at scale. I think that's what it's going to do. It's going to help small teams do big things. I think that's really the important part. And it's going to empower your teams where maybe before they can reach out to, via email, a certain amount and, research and actually send maybe 20 people a day kind of a thing. Now they'll be able to do this by, as you see, we can do 200 a day. So you can do quite a bit now, outreaches. Obviously, still be careful with all of your stuff with whether using Outlook or Microsoft. They're sending limits and all that kinds of stuff with these outreaches. So keep that in mind. I actually think that's one of the reasons they cap it at 200 is to try to help protect that for you, which I think is pretty important. But I think it's a great way to definitely start to as your point, fuel some demand into your funnel. So I think that's a great way. And I think the fact that you do have this workflow enrollment allows you to do a lot of customizing and put them in this at a certain point, and in re-enroll. So that's also something. Let me go back actually to the prospecting agent. And so you saw that I had unenrolled this contact. And so I can re-enroll this contact. So if we're inside of finished, I believe we can select them and we can unenroll this person and re-enroll them as well into the workflow. So at any point you can put somebody back into the workflow and enroll the content we have previously been. Oh, yeah, that's probably why. Let me see here. Usually you do have an opportunity to re-enroll. There it is. Okay, right here. So now we can go, we can click on this to re-enroll, and it will generate some emails and stuff again. So we can put somebody into this multiple times if we need to. So what's great about that is that when it does its research the next time and does its writing the next time, it's creating new unique emails, or at least it should be creating new unique emails, which is pretty cool based on whatever research and stuff it has from that time. So you could have, hey, somebody was active on my site, enroll in my prospecting email, it starts going out, they don't interact, it finishes, but maybe 3 months down the line, they're interacting again, you re-enroll them, and it's creating 3 new emails to send out to them. So it doesn't just feel like they're going through the same workflow of emails. It can be a really cool way. So a couple of things that I was going to say that I think this could be useful for. So I think if you're an organization that's using things like quizzes or surveys to qualify people, this is a great way to start to prospect them and just keep it going after that. I think if you're in like certain types of businesses like home services, roofing businesses, like electrical, those types of things, super easy to get some prospecting out there to follow up. I know a lot of industries that we've seen in there where they don't do the follow-up part of things, but being able to say like, hey, we went out and we did an inspection, or we gave a quote or something like that, and then having this follow-up after that, I think can be really cool. I also think you can get really creative when you set up the selling profiles, right? There really isn't a rule to it, right? So let's go back and look at that, for example. So if we look at the selling profiles and we look at our source data, you don't have to want to use the website analyzing. You can just type all this in, but you can get really creative in how you do this to make it make sense for you. In the sense, like, it may not be that I'm doing a cold outreach to sell a product. It could be that I'm doing more of a follow-up after something's happened. And so I can kind of change up this to say like, did an inspection, had qualify for our services, and we think we can save them whatever, right? So however you word these, I think you can use these boxes a little differently. It may not have to be exactly what it's saying here. As long as you understand what it's trying to do here, you can kind of control what you're putting in here to make sure you're tweaking this to do what you want it to do. So definitely think your services that are like home services, great option for this. I think that if you currently are not doing any like really outreach or prospecting, I think this is a huge win for you to be able to do that without necessarily taking on more cost. If you have this available for you to do so. And it's, as you saw, it was fairly easy to set up. The biggest benefit, the biggest challenge you're going to have here is really going to be what the context you put here, right? It's kind of like sending any other email. You want to make sure that you are sending the right information to the right person and ideally at the right time. So keep that in mind as well. I'm going to jump over, see if I have any Q&A or any other stuff here. Let's see. See if anything is here. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. No, there's nothing there. Okay. So yeah, that's basically the prospecting agent. It's pretty straightforward, but I think it's extremely powerful. If you guys have any questions, we will share this recording, and you guys can always reach out to us. Again, Mike Wilson, Processology. If you guys want a consultation, you can always reach out to us at processology.net/start and schedule a call with us. We'd love to talk to you about what you're trying to do internally, whether it's process, get more out of HubSpot, or implement any of these features we talk about in our calls. All of this stuff we do for our clients to support them in that, as well as our monthly admin program that just gives you HubSpot support on demand. So if that's anything you guys are interested in, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, thank you for joining us on this. And if there's no other questions, I'll let you guys have about 15 minutes of your time back. You're very welcome. Very welcome.